In this much requested video, I'm gonna tell you how I turned my passion for art into my full-time occupation by managing my first $1,000 as an artist. I'm gonna share everything, including the little roadblocks and hardships that come with monetizing your craft. I started pondering starting an art business at the very end of 2018. And at the time, I was a mom of 3 and I was having a very hard time at my 9-to-5 job because of my busy family life and because I didn't really enjoy what I was doing. Back then, I had the belief artists must starve, but I started noticing it wasn't true for everyone at all, especially with all the tools we now have with the internet. So I officially got started in May of 2019 with the first video here on YouTube. I didn't have the technical skills I have today, but I was always good at drawing and I knew I would enjoy working on getting better at it. Something important I need to point out is that at the time, I was just getting back into art a little bit. I didn't draw or paint any more than once or twice a week. The habit and consistency came little by little. And I also knew that transitioning from a regular job to working online and building everything from scratch would take a lot of time and involvement, and that I should always be careful not to get discouraged. And I know that the fact I was so aware of that is why I'm still around making videos to this day, and why I've managed to improve my art skills so much overall. From 2019 to the end of 2020, I focused on learning and improving my craft, watercolor mainly. And gradually, I went from creating once or twice a week to taking this very seriously and creating almost daily. I had to give myself a little push for this one at first, because if you want to make art your career, at some point you're gonna need to do the work. I wanted to wait a bit to start monetizing my craft until I felt I knew what I was doing. I really went into it not expecting to make any money right away, just focusing on learning. At that time, I did pressure myself already, however, I set some goals artistically and in terms of numbers, which I know is not great, and with time and experience, I've learned not to care as much, but I prefer to be transparent about it because I know a lot of people get caught up with the numbers and all that energy you'll be wasting towards that will not be wisely spent moving the needle forward for your business by working on the skill set you know you need the most to make progress. It could just be working on your skills or learning something useful for business like mindset work, marketing. So overall, this was a quiet time. I worked a lot, but I'd say most of it was not necessarily the useful work that makes you progress. Although I did spend a lot of time creating, and that really showed because somewhere around April of 2020, I really found my style and I started creating without the help of classes or tutorials. So during that time, I did make a lot of mistakes like being too scattered and wasting time scrolling and doing unnecessary things, but at least I managed to build up my skills and a solid portfolio in a relatively short time because I was practicing so much. I had been a happy student on the platform Skillshare, and I knew I enjoyed teaching and just sharing all I knew with others through YouTube already. So I joined the Skillshare Teach Challenge in the fall of 2020. Skillshare helped me and a bunch of other people create our first class, and I published mine in November of 2020. This was officially the start of a business, the time I started paperwork to turn what had been a hobby till then into a legal business. In December, I got my first humble paycheck from it. It was around $150, which is actually great for a first class, and I know not every new teacher gets to start in this way. I also had become an ambassador for art philosophy during that year. So in 2021, I started receiving a little bit of money both from art philosophy and Skillshare. I was creating Skillshare classes on a monthly basis, and even though the excitement from the first class died down in the long run, it still helped me get my art business off the ground a little bit. Later in 2021, I also did a few lives with Etcher, and it was a nice addition and a new experience, even though I can tell you I was earning very little monthly for that whole year. Enough to save as extra money or buy the groceries. You probably hear that it doesn't have to take a lot of time to monetize your craft, that it can be fast, etc. And although I have witnessed some people having tremendous success on Skillshare or YouTube or other places, for most of us, unfortunately, it is harder. And an important thing I have learned and seen time and time again is that art skills have little to do with what we could call success and with visibility. There are a bunch of other factors which I can't share because I still don't understand how it really works to this day, to be honest. For me, I also have a family of 4 to manage. I was actually pregnant with my 4th in 2019 when I got started, and my immediate family wasn't extremely supportive. So navigating learning my craft and also learning all the other skills necessary for business, staying motivated and also staying consistent while feeling lonely doing it all of that was not easy and still isn't easy. But even though it has been going slower than I wish, I wouldn't take it back and work at my previous jobs for as long as I can help it. There has been a lot of things learned and growth since I got started, and with persistence, I am managing to grow every year, so I hope this will comfort anyone who might be feeling like their circumstances are not great to get started in art. 2022 was the year when I started to really make a decent income and when I reached my first $1,000 a month, which I was able to maintain and exceed, except for twice during all 12 months. All the work I had been putting into my art had been compiling. That's why it's important to go into it knowing it's likely to take time and stay patient. I also hear things in business about being ready for the next step, and that if you haven't reached a certain level, maybe you just weren't ready. And I think it's true because while I was making nothing to barely anything in the first years, I was learning the craft and mastering essential skills that are going to be useful in the future. Maybe I would have felt incredibly stressed and overwhelmed if I had had tremendous success and visibility right away. Instead, I've had time to put systems in place and slowly get used to the growth. 2022 was also a year during which I started diversifying with local workshops and local in-person classes, something that was completely new to me. It was also my first year of YouTube monetization. From the outside, it's always easy to think the artist is lucky having all this going for them, if you're just looking at what 2022 looked like for me. But from my side of things, I was still earning my first $1,000 every month, which was a new turn in my journey for sure, but not much more yet. And for all the work and energy I have been putting inside my art business while passing on other things like family time, reading, watching TV since 2019, this has been a long road with its share of roadblocks and ups and downs. But at the same time, it makes me happy because it has brought me a lot more than just the financial aspect, and I'm a different person today, way more creative, and every day when I wake up, I'm excited to keep working and learning and creating feels great and worth all the hours I put into this. I've also become proficient creating art and painting with watercolors. I learned loads about running a business, and I've had the pleasure to share bits of the journey with other artists and collaborate with brands too. Not to mention, I've also been helping a lot of people improve their art, and I'm very happy about that. When you're beginning your journey, take the time to learn and practice the craft, because as time goes by and as you start monetizing your skill and diversifying, there will be less and less time to do that. Nowadays, I manage to create weekly because I spend most of my days, evenings, and weekends working on my business, and I know it's important to maintain a consistent practice. Creating for YouTube and my workshops and classes has helped me do that. On the flip side, I do spend a lot of time editing videos, preparing lessons, and so on, since the creation side alone is not going to do much for my small art business if I can't go and share it. It is the thing I have struggled with most till now. How I've dealt with this is to get off Instagram because it has done little for me other than comparing and feeling sorry about myself. I used to engage a lot when I had more time before, but now I prefer to spend that time developing my small art business and focusing on what I'm doing and not what others are doing. The balance between work and life and between different things we need to do as an artist nowadays when we share art online is difficult, and it seems like everyone is going to need to decide where their priorities are going to be. So while 2023 is looking better than 2022 for me, because I keep building on top of everything I have done before, I know this aspect of finding a balance will be a huge part of my plans moving forward. I also want to add that if it wasn't for everyone here letting me know how my videos are helping or how my art inspires them, it would be harder. So I'm very thankful for you guys, and you're by far my biggest support in this journey. I hope this has helped you. Let me know in the comments about your goals, small wins, and hardships, if any. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.